Hi there, my name is Mark Wein. I am the author of Foundations for Guitar. Most of you on YouTube know me as the guy that does all the video lessons where you just see my hand and the guitar neck. What this lesson is today is basically we are taking a section of my book where we conceptualize or try and understand how time flows and time works. I'm actually going to have a download of this on my website, markweinguitarlessons.com. And this is kind of a helper lesson for people who have bought the book but don't have the time or the ability to take lessons with me personally or don't work with an instructor on their own. What we're looking at in the book, as we crank through here, is the section on time and rhythm, which is page 14. There's just going to be a PDF for you to actually read all this stuff on the website. And what we're going to do is we're going to break this lesson down. This is kind of non-specific for guitar. It can be any instrument. It just happens that I've written a book on guitar, and chances are if you know about me, you're a guitar player. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to take time as it relates to music and break it down into its most basic elements. The very first thing that we're going to talk about is the idea of pulse. Now, if you know me, you know my metronome. Everything is all about this metronome in all the lessons and all the teaching I do. The pulse is this steady stream of beats. It basically goes through every piece of music that we're going to play. It doesn't speed up, doesn't slow down, shouldn't stop. Even if there's no music going on, we're still feeling time, this stream of pulse through everything. Now, the idea of tempo is the speed of this pulse, and we measure it in the amount of beats per minute. So if you can see on my metronome here, there's some numbers. The numbers just tell you how many beats per minute this thing is going to click. Now, obviously, music does not feel like a bunch of steady beats. It'd be pretty boring. We have this idea that we're going to call meter, and meter is how we organize this pulse into little groups where we accent a beat and then we play a couple beats unaccented, and it gives the music different kinds of feels. If I was to take this and accent one beat and then not accent two beats, so we're thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where we have what we call a group of 3. And if I was to sing something like Christmas Carol using this particular meter or beat pattern, we get, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right? And it's rolling. It doesn't feel the same as if we were to do Jingle bells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when we're accenting the first beat of the group of 4, and we're kind of accenting the third beat a little bit, but same pulse, same tempo, different feel with the two melodies. Now, I'm going to play a couple pieces of music here, and I'm actually going to be just using examples from my album since I actually own the rights to them. This first song is called Indio, and it's in 4, and we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you listen, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. On 2 and 4, there's going to be a snare drum, which, if you watch a drummer play, he's playing the cymbal with one hand, he's got this hand playing the snare drum, which is the drum between his knees, and then he's got his bass drum, which is playing with his foot. If I was to turn that beat around, which means that if I was to count that not as 2 and 4 in that group of 4, but as 1 and 3, you're going to see how uncomfortable this is going to get. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. See how uncomfortable that feels as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The other thing is also, if I was to count the wrong beat pattern, like if I was to count 3s over that, let's back this up for a second, I'm just going to count some different stuff. If my accents don't line up with the accents in the music, It's not going to feel right either. Go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm still counting. Once again, that tempo has to be the same. The pulse going through the music is the same. My accent pattern isn't the same, and it feels really uncomfortable. No matter what music you're playing or what music I'm playing, there is always this pulse, this steady stream of beats going through everything. And this is one of the most important things as a guitar player, as any musician really, but as a guitar player especially, that you really want to be concerned about, because most guitar players, especially if they're self-taught, if you're taking lessons off of videos like this on the internet, this stuff doesn't ever get addressed or gets organized in such a way that makes sense for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small series of lessons just talking about rhythm and time. The next thing at the bottom of this page, we talk about note values. Hold that sucker up right there. What the note looks like tells you how long the note lasts for. Now, one thing I don't talk about in the book is the idea that really every note that you play has three components. There's the attack of the note, which is where you actually pick it or where you would play it. There's the body of the note, which is where you're hearing it, and then there's the release of the note. If I was to put this metronome on and sing a whole note, all right, it would last for 4 of these clicks. Ba, all right, and there was a solid release on it. I didn't just, you know, ba, because that was a quarter note, and then 3 beats where no music was happening. For every note that you have, which tells you how long to play a note for, or what the duration is, we also have a rest. And a rest tells you how long not to play for. Something very important in music is the idea that you still feel time through a rest. A rest doesn't mean the music stops, it just means that you're not making any sounds during that time, but you still need to feel that time going through the music. You know, so if you have a rest, which is at the top of the next page, if it's a whole rest, you're still counting, you know, tap your foot through 4 beats. The thing with tapping your foot is that you're tapping your foot on the metronome beat, on the pulse. Your body, if you're playing this way, is feeling that quarter note pulse somewhere, and then like if you're strumming, you're dividing it up into smaller sections. But ultimately that pulse always has to be there, you know, and then you kind of on top of that pulse you put your meter or your accent patterns. The next section of this page where it says time signatures, here's the deal with the time signatures, is that the top number, if we look at this guy right here, the top number of the time signature tells you how many beats are in each measure, which also happens to be our meter. Now, if you're wondering what a measure is, if you've never really read music before, and if you look at the printout that you probably have in front of you, you'll have each one of these lines has like 4 boxes. There's a box, there's a box, there's a box, there's a box. Each one of those is a measure. We have a staff, it's divided up into those measures by the bar lines, which are the vertical lines that go down. Each one of those measures basically is a unit of your meter. It's a 1, 2, 3 or a 1, 2, 3, 4. After every bar line you're going to count 1. The bottom number of the time signature, and this is where it gets a little hairy for beginners or guys that are just getting started, is which note gets 1 beat. Now, the note values, I say a whole note gets 4 beats, a half note gets 2 beats, a quarter note gets a beat, eighth note gets a half a beat, but that's only if the bottom number is a 4. If the bottom number was an 8, the eighth note would get 1 beat, quarter note would get 2 beats, half note would get 4 beats, eighth note would get 8 beats. If the bottom number was a 2, the half note would get a beat. You know, this all changes relative to each other. The majority of the music you're going to play when you're just getting started, you're going to have the quarter note as being 1 beat, and all those values I give you on that page, the page marked 14, hold true. In my lessons and in this book, we really don't worry about other meters. That's going to be something we're going to kind of attack in the future. But just kind of keep in mind, as I say in the written part of this, that bottom number tells you that either the quarter note is counted as 1 beat and everything else is proportionate to that, or the eighth note gets counted as 1 beat. Like I said, it's kind of a can of worms if you're just kind of getting started on that. Alright, so that's basically me describing pages 14 and 15 of Foundations for Guitar. We're going to be doing some other exercises in coming lessons where we talk about vertical time alignment and other things like that, where we're actually getting you to feel time and understand how time works and how it's divided up in future lessons, and that'll kind of help your guitar playing make more sense, because you're not really worrying about learning chords at the same time that you're learning rhythms. You're learning rhythms and then applying chords to them later, so you're actually feeling the stuff more like an involuntary